So good morning. It is still morning, I think. I forgot to put my watch on. I think I'm pretty sure it's still morning. I left quite early this morning. It was still darkish. I wanted to kind of touch on today about directed conversation. I think a lot of us come into making these videos and talking about this stuff, and we're usually people who are a little bit further down the line than other people. We've usually got a little bit of kind of experience about what's going on, and we forget that someone may just be finding these that you know hasn't, that is feeling fear, that is in that fear state, that confusion state that they put you in at the beginning. I know I was scared shitless. I didn't have a clue what was going on or who was involved in this and how they were managing to do this. I'm not like that anymore. I think they try so hard with you in the beginning to keep you in that fear state because it's very entertaining for them. They're thoroughly entertained when you're running around. When I think of the dumb shit that I did at the beginning when I didn't have a clue what was going on, and some of the decisions that I made and some of the things that I did, it must have been absolutely hilarious for them. I'm sure they loved that, and they get a real kick out of new targets being in that position and running around like headless chickens, doing all these crazy things. Maybe go into one day about the kind of stuff that I did, but not at the moment. I'm laughing. I'm not going to tell you why I'm laughing. I'm just laughing. It's a grouse. Is it a grouse or a pheasant? Yeah, pheasant. Let's see if we can see it. That's what he said. He's run away into the bushes, has he? Oh, there he is. Pretty. They're pretty, aren't they? I found one of their feathers once, so it was really nice. Yeah, they're dumb though. If you're driving down a road and they're in front of you, they just fucking carry on walking in front of you. They're so stupid. Anyway, yeah. So I think one of the things that they try and get you in the beginning is directed conversation. It's really easy for them to stand in. They usually stand in pairs. If they're not in pairs or in threes, they'll be on the phone. So it's a really good way for them to try and get you, to make you think that every single person in the world is doing this to you and every single person is in on it. It's a really good way by having people placed around you at certain points. So they'll watch you go into a shop, for example, and then they'll stand outside, and anytime you go in anywhere, if you're not a person who, I don't carry my phone with me, obviously I'm speaking into my phone right now, but when I'm walking anywhere or going anywhere, generally I take the battery out of this phone and I walk. So I think I've said before, they must have to use a hell of a lot of manpower to do these things to me, because they have to have so many people placed around me, because they don't know what I'm going to do and they can't track me through my phone. They can track me physically through people watching me and through the CCTV, you know, the CCTV operators who operate the cameras within the towns and cities there. They're always working for these people as well. They're always working for the police and, you know, for the criminals that take part in this. The police are criminals, so it's the same thing. But they're always part of it, so they're sending messages onto the dum-dums on the street about where you're going to be. But it's a hell of a lot easier to track you through your phone. Well, like I said, I take the battery out, I don't take it with me, and I take different routes all the time. So anytime that I go into a shop, it's kind of funny because I've tested this out a few times. I find it quite comical. I do it on purpose just to fucking see what they do. I've been into shops where there's nobody in them. You know the type of shops they're like a front for fucking money laundering and drug dealing. These type of shops. There's one in the town that I used to live in. It's like a gift shop selling all kinds of tat and shite, and no one's ever in it. I've been past it probably 100, 200 times, and I've never seen anyone in this place, right? But it's always open and there's always two staff in there now. You tell me how that's possible. I fucking don't know. I don't. If it's a legitimate shop selling this kind of tat, then they're paying 2 staff for 8 hours a day, and I've never seen a customer in there. That's you know, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? Anyway, I went in the shop one day and I asked for something specifically, and there was nobody in it. But as soon as I went in it, and I kind of looked around for 5 minutes, 2 people came in at the back of me, which was kind of funny. And then I asked for this specific thing, and then a few days later, these 2 people are stood on a corner waiting for me to pass, and they start talking about this item that I'd been in the shop inquiring about, because the shopkeepers let them know, they're obviously they've let the scum freaks know what you've asked for, so they have to have then a conversation about this. But every single time that I walked past that shop afterwards, there would be someone in it, at least one customer, and I find that in a lot of shops. I'll go in them now and there's just these people, and if you watch them, because most of us just go in and we're kind of, we sometimes don't do ourselves any favours, because we'll walk about with our kind of heads down, and we're trying not to make eye contact with any of these freaks, and we're trying not to be seen by them. A cyclist just having a nice little cough as he drives past me. We're trying not to be seen by them, so we don't want to make eye contact, but lately I've started really looking at them, and you can see them, and it's like they spend all day in this shop just wandering about. They're like unpaid security guard. Well, they are paid. They're paid police informants, and they're getting paid by the criminal police. But it's like that's their mission, is to hang out in these shops every day, and you'll notice it when you start going into places, particularly places that were empty when you first went into them, or places that you frequent, that you go into. That's quite a posh word. That's quite posh for me. Frequent. Places that you go into frequently. You'll notice there'll always be someone, it's at least one of them, stood in there like looking dodgy as fuck. That they can't hide their absolute dodginess look about them. They look like they don't fucking fit in anywhere. They're really easy to spot once you kind of notice it. You can't unnotice it. So they'll have them hanging about the places that you go to most often. And sorry, 2 seconds. And like I said, they'll always be in pairs usually, or if they're not in pairs, they'll be having a phone conversation, just as you happen to be passing, and they'll say specific words that they've tried to, I can't think of the words, they've tried to kind of make you think about, what's that fucking, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Words that they've used in your target, and that they try and use on you all the time to make you think that it's them. I don't know, they kind of don't do themselves any favours, because once they use these words, you kind of know for sure who they are. And I get people doing it all the time. Like I've said before, I don't have phone conversations. I don't really have conversations in real time either, if I can avoid it. Not really. I don't speak to anyone. It was funny, I was out for a walk a couple of weeks ago. I was walking along a path, and this woman cycled past me, and she stopped her bike past me. And then as I walked past her, she said, "Are you planning on walking somewhere nice?" And I thought, oh, fuck off, I didn't say fuck off, I said go away. And she went, "Oh, okay," and then cycled on. And I thought, who the fuck, they just want to engage you in conversation, try and find out stuff about you, find out what your plans are. I had someone that I spent a bit of time with last year constantly ask me, what are your plans? What are your plans? What plans do you have? Do you have plans? Are you going to tell me your plans? They want to know this shit so they can use it, because they don't know what you're going to do, and it annoys the shit out of them that they can't get into your brain and think about and know what it is that you've got planned for the future. It's really annoying to them. If you're new to this, the people around you, I had someone do it to me yesterday. They had a conversation. I was somewhere where I was kind of stuck in that moment. I couldn't leave the place in that moment because I was busy doing something, and they decided to have a phone conversation in my company with the phone on speakerphone, like you do. You want to have a private conversation in front of a stranger with it on speakerphone. And as soon as the person that they phoned picked up the phone, they started on the directed conversation using all these words that they'd kind of tried to use in my targeting frequently. The words that they use all the time, and phrases all the time. And I was just laughing to myself. In an ideal world, you'd be able to stab these people in the throat, but unfortunately, that's kind of frowned upon by the criminal police. Although, you know, they allow their little criminal informants to do this kind of stuff. But there you go. They make the rules, I suppose. I just wanted to kind of touch on this quickly as well, because I saw it on the news and it made me think. There's two women, two sisters. They're triplets. There's three triplets, obviously. Two sisters and a brother, but they're originally from, I think, from Hungary. And the two sisters have been living in Scotland for years, and the two of them went missing, and they've got CCTV of them in Aberdeen in Scotland, and they've got CCTV of them leaving their house at 2:30 in the morning, and walking along a path that's adjacent to the river, and then they disappeared. They couldn't pick them up in any CCTV, and I find it really interesting, cases like this, you know. Firstly, I find it interesting the language that they use. If you happen to go on YouTube and look at any of the police reports in it, I find the language that there's a police chief and he's talking about their disappearing, and the language that he uses I find very interesting. And a part of it, he said, escaped. They've escaped. Now that's a really odd word to use, isn't it? That they've escaped. That's not the kind of language that I would use if someone had gone missing. I also find it really, really strange about the story that they'd informed their landlord that they wanted to give up their tenancy. And then shortly after it, the landlord's obviously turned up to see where they are. And the landlord is apparently the one who's contacted the police. Now, these people who are adults, I believe they're in their 30s, and they want to give up their tenancy. And then the landlord finds it necessary to phone the police about this. It's very, very odd. Very similar things have happened to me in the past. That's why I find this case quite interesting. Also, on one of the news reports, if you look into this, you can see it all for yourself. One of the news reports, they have them on CCTV and they're walking at 2:30 in the morning. And then the reporter who's mentioning this on the news report says that the CCTV also picks up audio. You know, that's really interesting as well, isn't it? That they don't advertise that fact that in the city centres and the town centres that their CCTV is picking up audio. I mean, all of us that are awake and aware of what goes on in the world and how this world works and the corruption in the world are absolutely aware that that's the case. But, you know, I find it interesting that probably the majority of the population isn't aware of that fact, and, you know, probably don't take any notice because they're fucking brain dead zombies, most of them, you know. they don't really give a shit. They do the whole, I've got nothing, I don't care who films me, I've got nothing to hide. This fucking idiot way to look at things. But I mean, the majority of them are idiots. I've been around enough of them to realise that brains are not. She's saying that brains are not a big part of society. The person saying that can't even find out the fucking words that she's looking for. But the hypocrites, I am a hypocrite. There we go, I fully admit it. But anyway, I find that quite interesting if you kind of look into that, the fact that these two women have, according to the police, escaped. Well, I hope they have fucking escaped, because I've got my own theories about what was maybe happening to them if the landlord who they're giving up their tenancy for to giving their tenancy back has decided on a whim to phone the police, and then the police are tracking them on CCTV and listening to audio of them. I hope they have escaped somewhere. I hope they're safe and well anyway. I hope they've managed to escape this fucking shithole. Wherever they are, good luck to them. Best of luck to them. But anyway, that's all for now. So, yeah, don't get yourself stressed with directed conversation. They're just retards. They're retards. They're retarded people who do this all the time. It's their job. That's their job. It's their bread and butter to do this. They've got nothing else going for them. They couldn't get another job if they tried. This is the skills that they have, just to be sent a message and told what words to use in your company, and the ability to use those words, and then they get their fag money. So don't pay it no attention. Don't be scared. Don't let these freaks scare you. Don't feel any fear around them. They can't do anything to you. They're retards, basically just retards. Anyway, you take care. God bless and all that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.